Hey guys, Kaylee Jane here with Cedar Winds Farm. This is my current goat lineup until I get Alfred moved out. Then Josie's going back into first place. But this seems to actually be working decently well. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a pregnancy update on my does. Definitely getting close. Last few weeks are always the ones where you feel like they last forever and ever. So anyways, I'm trying not to get too excited yet because I've still got a ways to go. So Cleo today has right at 3 weeks left to go until her due date. I'm just going to show you a side view here. You see she's starting to lose some of her winter hair. Coat's looking a little rough. She is definitely working on that udder. I think she lost her mucus plug the other day because I've been seeing pretty consistently mucus on her tail every day. I'm pretty sure, can't get a good video because she's moving around. Pretty sure Cleo just lost her mucus plug. I don't know. Maybe this is TMI for some of you, but I've actually never seen the mucus plug just plopped out like that, so that's actually kind of cool. I'll show you the top view here. You can definitely see the baby bump right there on her right side, and she is definitely starting to act a little bit uncomfortable. I've felt the kids kicking several times, seen them kicking, and she hasn't quite figured out what to do about that. I don't think she really understands what's going on. So she's definitely starting to act a bit more pregnant now. You can also see just around Cleo's tail head here, she's just sort of, see that little divot right there? That's just her ligaments around her tail head starting to relax. And they're going to relax a lot more before she kids, most likely. But yeah, I can definitely just see some changes in her back end conformation as her body gears up for kidding. Sunday has 32 days until her due date, so just over a month to go. And she's actually starting to look a bit more pregnant here lately. So yeah, I'm starting to wonder if she might actually be carrying more kids. I was originally thinking maybe just a single, but I'm terrible at guessing. I thought Josie was going to have triplets last time she kidded and she had Butte. So I place no faith in my ability to predict these things. But you can definitely see, I'll show you the top view here. Definitely see the baby bump right there. I haven't really felt for kids kicking on her yet. But they probably are kicking around in there. And then her udder, definitely seeing some good udder development going on down in there. She's probably got almost as much udder development as Cleo, but you're just not going to see it as well because she has so much hair. Hi, Josie. Josie has 42 days left to go. I'll give you the side view here. A little bit of depth, not a lot going on. I feel like her belly is starting to show a little bit of a bulge there. And then here's her udder. I feel like she's getting a little bit of substance to her udder. And what's most encouraging is that the teeth that she had the mastitis in, which is her right teat here, it looks like that side of her udder is maybe starting to fill out a bit. So I'm hoping that maybe she'll freshen normally and not have a lopsided udder. So that kind of remains to be seen, but she's definitely showing some width here. Butte has 59 days to go till her due date, and she is starting to do a little bit of udder down there. You can see her teats getting longer, getting a little bit of skin visible around her teats. Here's the top view. Not a whole lot of baby bumps showing up. Her right side is a bit lower tonight because her rumen is full. And then side view, not a whole lot going on there yet. Not a lot yet, but that's okay. You've got almost 2 months to go. So I just recently started feeding Cleo and Sunday twice a day. So they're getting 1.5 pounds of grain in the morning and just like a half a pound of feed at night. I'm going to work them up to feeding 1.5 pounds twice a day. So it'll be a total of 3 pounds a day, and just see how they do on that. And I may end up feeding more, especially if they lactate heavily and I'm getting a lot of milk from them. But I'm trying to cut down on the amount of grain that I feed. And so this year I'm just going to kind of experiment with trying to feed a bit less and seeing how they do with it. Obviously, I want them to be healthy and have everything that they need. So, you know, their nutrition is going to come first and foremost. I'm still feeding 3 flakes of alfalfa a day, and I feel like that's kind of a good sweet spot. Cleo actually grew recently. I was looking at her next to Alf, her brother, and I realized that she is almost as big as he is now. So she's still growing. So that was a really good thing to see, because that encouraged me that I'm probably spot on with my nutrition, because she's growing kids and also able to still grow herself as well. So I'm very encouraged about all of that. And I feel like they're all doing pretty well. Josie's feet are improving. I am starting to let her eat alfalfa with the other goats. Alfalfa is a more natural feed for goats. And so I'd shared before about how I've had issues with her foundering and getting sore feet and stuff. And so anyways, yeah, she's in good shape now. I feel like her feet are in good shape. She doesn't seem like she's sore. And so I'm sort of easing her back into eating the alfalfa with the other goats and not separating her. And I'm going to see how she does. I'm still not really feeding her grain unless I need to have her up on the milking stand working on her feet. I'm kind of experimenting with that this year just to see what works for her. And Butte, she's not due till May, so I'm just giving her a few handfuls of feed once a day, and probably in like late March or April I'll start increasing her feed ration as well. One thing I wanted to talk about real quick is something that I actually discussed with someone recently, and it was the question of, if you're putting your goats out on the land or taking them for walks, should you quit doing that at a certain point in the goat's pregnancy, or when they're really heavy bred? And I think, and this is just my personal opinion here, but I think that getting goats out for exercise and fresh food is probably even more important when they're pregnant than otherwise. And obviously, you know, if you have really awful, demanding, rocky terrain, your really heavy bred does may have some trouble navigating it. But I honestly have some pretty challenging areas here on this farm as well. I mean, I don't live on the side of a mountain or anything, but you know, there's some pretty tough spots, and honestly the toughest spots are the ones that I put goats in, because nobody wants to get in there and mow and, you know, cut brush down. So the goats get those areas. And I mean, I've just not had any trouble with pregnant does getting hung up or getting stuck. If you breed for sensible goats, they're gonna know their limits, and they're gonna kind of figure it out on their own. And I did last year have my third freshener, Pippi, who I don't own anymore, but she was a Nubian that I had for several years, and she did not want to go out on the land. There were several days when I could tell she was very uncomfortable. I think the kids were in a weird position, and I would open the gate, you know, to let everybody else out, and she would just kind of look at me like, nah, not today. So I just, you know, left her in the pen for a few days, made sure she had plenty of good hay to eat. And then after about 2-3 days of that, she was ready to get up and go again. So, you know, I'm not sure what was going on there, but obviously she thought that being out marching around the pasture was not what she needed to be doing. And I just kind of let her decide what she needed to do. My first fresheners, probably, even if they were horribly uncomfortable, they probably would not want to be left behind, because, you know, they're uncomfortable, they're pregnant, they don't know what's going on, they just know that weird stuff is happening. And if I try to separate them from the rest of the herd, I think that would just create some major anxiety for them, because, oh no, now all my friends are leaving too and I'm all by myself. So you know, even if they're struggling a little bit, I think they'd probably prefer to be out on the land rather than back at the barn in comfort. But the more experienced does, they kind of know what's going on, and they can make their own choices about those sorts of things and their activity levels. So, obviously respect your animals, listen to what they're telling you. If you do see them, really struggling with the terrain, you might try putting them in a different pasture that's a little less rough or demanding, or, changing your walks to somewhere that's maybe a little bit easier for them to navigate. But in general, I think the more that they're moving around, it's going to be better for their system and better for helping them get the kids in position to be able to be born normally and naturally. It's going to be good for their mood. They enjoy being out on the land. They enjoy marching around with their buddies, and it's going to provide them with extra food and nutritious forages that they're going to need as their body gears up for their birth and for lactation. One thing you might want to consider is if you have does that are due to kid, at any time, is you may want to be careful what pastures you put them in, because if they kid out in the pasture and it's a really brushy area, or it's a really just a large area, you might have trouble finding those kids back if they get left behind somewhere by their mom. So I have never had a doe kid out in the woods. They always have waited until they were back at the barn to have their babies. So I usually get kiddings either in the evening or in the early morning before I take them out. So I don't know, this year may be my first year to have kids born out on the land. I'm fine with them having kids out there. Honestly, it's usually a very clean environment and there's not a lot of poop and nasty hay built up. So I think kidding out in the woods would be great, honestly, as long as I find the kids and make sure they, get safely back home with their mother when I bring the whole herd home at night. And so one of the things that I will be doing is when I know that my does are getting close and they're in their kidding range, I will make sure that I use pastures that are easy for me to get into and easy for me to walk through, and I can kind of have a good visibility to make sure that I can find kids if they are born out there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.